Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn, watching the Federation ships disappear into hyperspace. Another mission complete. Another victory claimed by the Federation Council. Another pile of human bodies left behind. "Sir, final casualty report," Lieutenant Sophie Blake said quietly. Her voice carried the weight of too many such reports. 43 humans dead. 16 wounded. The Zilithian forces lost 3. Jake nodded slowly. Of course they had. The aliens always stayed back, while humans charged the front lines. They called it tactical positioning. Jake called it cowardice. "What about the other species?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The Vorthack didn't fire a single shot. They said their crystal ships were too valuable to risk. The Nexri claimed their energy shields were incompatible with the battlefield conditions. Jake looked out at the wreckage floating in space. Most of it came from human ships. Ships that had followed Federation orders exactly. Ships that saved the day while their alien allies found excuses to stay safe. Engineer Pete Collins approached from his station. "Commander, we're getting priority communications from Federation Command. They want us to proceed to the Kepler system for another routine patrol." Jake almost laughed. Routine patrol meant another death trap. Another mission where humans would bleed while aliens watched from a safe distance. Any word from civilian evacuation? Jake asked. Medical Officer Lisa Grant shook her head. The Federation News Services are calling it a complete success. No mention of human casualties. They're saying it was a minimal engagement with pirates. 43 dead humans was minimal. Jake had heard this story before. Human lives didn't count the same way alien lives did. Everyone in the galaxy knew it. Most humans had accepted it as the price of being part of the Federation. Jake was getting tired of paying that price. The communication screen flickered to life. The familiar face of Zilithian Council Speaker Zeldar appeared, his reptilian features twisted into what passed for a diplomatic smile. "Commander Morrison," Zeldar said, "congratulations on another successful operation. Your species continues to prove useful in these dangerous situations." Useful, not brave, not heroic. Useful. "Thank you, Speaker Zeldar," Jake replied through clenched teeth. "My crew performed admirably under difficult circumstances." Yes, about that." Zeldar's tone shifted. "The Federation Council has been reviewing human military performance. While your enthusiasm is appreciated, there have been concerns about human tactical decisions." Jake felt his blood pressure rising. What concerns? The civilian casualties in the outer sectors, the property damage, the excessive use of force. Zeldar paused dramatically. "The Council has decided that human forces require better supervision. We followed Federation protocols exactly," Jake said. "Every decision was cleared through Federation Command. Nevertheless, effective immediately, all human military units will be placed under direct alien command. Human officers will serve in advisory roles only." The bridge went silent. Jake stared at the alien on the screen. After 200 years of service, after countless battles won with human blood, the Federation was demoting every human in their military. "Is there something else, Speaker?" Zeldar asked, noting Jake's silence. "No, sir," Jake managed. "We'll comply with Federation directives." The screen went dark. Jake stood there for a long moment, processing what had just happened. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. "Sophie, get me Intelligence Officer Murphy. Priority channel." Minutes later, Ryan Murphy's face appeared on screen. The man looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Commander Morrison, I was wondering when you'd call." "Ryan, please tell me you have some good news." Murphy glanced around, then leaned closer to his camera. "Depends on your definition of good news. I've been monitoring Federation communications. Jake, you need to see this." Data files began streaming to Jake's console. Communications between council members. Strategic planning documents. Budget allocations. Jake read in growing horror. The Federation hadn't been using humans as shock troops by accident. It was policy. Official, documented policy to reduce human population growth through military casualties. There's more, Murphy said grimly. They're planning to relocate human colonies to worlds in the dead zone, planets with toxic atmospheres, extreme weather, limited resources. They want to scatter us across worlds where we'll be too busy surviving to cause problems. Jake scrolled through more documents. Plans to break up human families. Restrictions on human breeding rights. Economic sanctions designed to keep human worlds dependent on Federation support. How long have you known about this? Jake asked. I've suspected for years. But this level of documentation... Jake, they're not just discriminating against us. They're trying to eliminate us as a political force. Jake looked around his bridge. At Sophie, who had lost her brother in the last routine patrol. At Pete, whose wife had been killed in a Federation mining accident. At Lisa, who had seen too many human soldiers die from preventable injuries, while alien medics treated their own species first. Ryan, I need you to send this data to every human commander in the fleet. Can you do that? Already done. But Jake, what are we going to do about it? Jake was quiet for a long moment. 200 years of playing by Federation rules. 200 years of being second-class citizens in their own galaxy. 200 years of dying for aliens who saw them as expendable. They're going to stop playing nice. Jake said finally. An hour later, Jake received a priority message from Captain Ben Sullivan, the highest-ranking human in Federation service. The message was simple. Emergency meeting of all human commanders. Secure Channel 7. 1 hour. Jake had never seen so many human faces on one screen. Commanders from across the galaxy, all wearing the same expression of quiet rage. Captain Sullivan spoke first. I assume you've all seen the intelligence reports. The question now is simple. Do we continue serving a Federation that wants us dead, or do we choose a different path? The vote was unanimous. Effective immediately, Sullivan announced. All human forces are withdrawing from Federation joint operations. We're going home, people, all of us. Jake looked at his crew. For the first time in months, Sophie was smiling. Set course for human space, Jake ordered. Maximum speed. As the Defiant Dawn jumped to hyperspace, Jake thought about the galaxy they were leaving behind. The Federation had made a mistake. They had pushed humanity too far, assumed human patience was unlimited, treated human lives as expendable. They were about to learn what happened when Deathworlders stopped being nice. Dr. Helen Carter packed the last of her research files into a secure container. Around her, the Federation Science Station buzzed with confusion as human scientists abandoned their projects and headed for the docking bays. Dr. Carter, called Nexery Research Director Vethmol, his ethereal form shimmering with agitation. You cannot simply leave in the middle of our quantum research project. We are on the verge of a breakthrough. Helen looked at the alien who had spent 5 years taking credit for her work. Then you should have no trouble finishing it yourself. But the calculations, the theoretical framework, it was all your design. Exactly. Helen sealed her container and headed for the door. Good luck with that breakthrough. Across the station, similar scenes played out. Human engineers left their posts on fusion reactors they had designed. Human doctors abandoned alien patients they had been treating. Human mechanics walked away from ships they had been repairing. The Federation had always claimed humans were junior partners, barely capable of keeping up with advanced galactic civilization. Now, they would find out how much of that civilization actually depended on human knowledge and skills. Admiral Tony Hayes stood on the bridge of the Fearless, watching the Federation fleet scramble to reorganize. Without human ships, their formations looked empty. Without human crews, their efficiency dropped to almost nothing. Admiral, his communication officer reported, we're receiving messages from Federation Command. They're ordering us to return to our posts immediately. Tony smiled coldly. Tell them we're busy. Sir, tell them humanity is taking a vacation. A long one. The communication officer grinned and began typing. On the capital world of New Terra, President Kate Williams stood before an emergency session of the Human Colonial Council. Representatives from 63 human worlds filled the chamber, all wearing expressions of grim determination. "The Federation has shown us their true intentions," Kate said. "They want us scattered, weakened, and dependent. They see us as a problem to be managed, not partners to be respected." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. "Therefore, I am authorizing Project Reawakening. For 200 years, we have hidden our true capabilities to avoid frightening our Federation allies. That time is over." In the basement levels of New Terra's Capitol building, engineer Chris Newton led a team through sealed vaults. Inside were blueprints and prototypes that had been locked away since humanity first joined Federation. Weapon designs too aggressive, ship configurations too militaristic, defensive systems too powerful. The Federation had required humans to use approved technology only, equipment that met galactic standards for civilized warfare, equipment that ensured human ships would never be too dangerous to their allies. "Chris," one of his engineers said, staring at the schematics for a human battleship design, "are these specs accurate? This ship could take on 5 Federation cruisers." "That's the point," Chris replied. "Time to show the galaxy what human engineering looks like when we stop holding back." The first signs of trouble appeared within days. Pirates began attacking Federation trade routes that had been protected by human patrols. The Outer Rim colony sent desperate messages requesting protection as raiders moved into systems the Federation could no longer defend. Ambassador Vextai of the Zilithian Republic called an emergency session of the Federation Council. His scaled head gleamed under the chamber lights as he addressed the assembled representatives. "This human tantrum has gone on long enough," he declared. "They think they can pressure us by abandoning their duties. Let them sulk in their little corner of space. We managed perfectly well before they joined us." Several council members nodded in agreement. The crystalline Vorthack representative added, "Human technology is primitive anyway. Our automated systems can easily replace their crude efforts." But not everyone was convinced. The delegate from Kepler, 186B, stood up, her insectoid form clicking nervously. "Honored colleagues," she said, "my world has already experienced 3 pirate attacks since the human withdrawal. Our own defense forces are inadequate. Hire mercenaries." Vextai suggested dismissively. "There are plenty of military contractors available." "We tried. The mercenaries lasted 2 days before the pirates destroyed them." Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Meanwhile, on the human world of Haven's Rest, Captain Lucy Baker reviewed defensive preparations with her staff. The Federation had been making threatening noises, and intelligence suggested they were planning some kind of action to force human compliance. "Status report," Lucy requested. "All human ships have been retrofitted with true specifications," her tactical officer reported. "No more Federation-approved limitations on our weapons or shields. Defensive positions? Orbital platforms are online. Ground-based systems are active. If they want to fight, they'll get one they won't forget." Lucy nodded. The Federation saw humans as primitive deathworlders who had been lucky to join galactic civilization. They had no idea what humans were really capable of when they stopped pretending to be something they weren't. The first test came when a Federation patrol tried to enforce a blockade around the human system of New Harmony. 3 Federation ships against 2 human escorts. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the Federation ships were debris, and the human escorts hadn't even lost their shields. The surviving Federation crews were rescued and treated well, but they carried a message back to their commanders. Human ships were far more powerful than anyone had realized. Federation command tried to suppress the news, but word spread quickly through military channels. The humans weren't just refusing orders. They were demonstrating capabilities that made no sense according to Federation intelligence files. Dr. Carter completed her journey back to human space and immediately began work on projects that had been forbidden under Federation oversight. Quantum computers that could break Federation encryption, medical techniques that could heal injuries the Federation considered fatal, energy systems that could power entire worlds. "How did we hide all this?" one of her assistants asked, staring at research data that was decades ahead of anything the Federation used. "We didn't hide it," Helen replied. "We just never told them what we were capable of. They assumed we were working at our limits." We were actually working at their comfort level. On New Terra, President Williams received reports from across human space. Colonies were strengthening their defenses. Research stations were accelerating their work. The human military was revealing technologies that made Federation equipment look like toys. "Ma'am," her advisor said, "we're receiving communication requests from non-human worlds. Independent colonies, mining stations, trading posts. They want to discuss protection agreements." Kate smiled. "Put them through. Let's see who wants to join the winning side." The Federation had spent 2 centuries teaching the galaxy that humans were dangerous but manageable, powerful but controllable, useful but subordinate. They were about to discover the difference between humans who were playing nice and humans who had decided to stop. Captain Lucy Baker stood in the command center of Haven's Rest Defense Station, watching Federation ships gather at the edge of the system. They had been there for 3 days, building up forces for what everyone knew was coming. "Incoming transmission," her communications officer announced. The face that appeared on screen belonged to Federation Counselor Elthek, his blue scale features twisted into an expression of authority and disdain. "Captain Baker," he said, "I am here to inform you that the Federation Council has authorized economic sanctions against all human worlds. Your trade agreements are terminated. Your shipping lanes are closed. Your colonies will receive no Federation support until humanity returns to compliance." Lucy looked at the alien on her screen and smiled. "Counselor, let me save you some time. We don't care." Elthek's eyes widened. "You don't care? Human worlds have been economically independent for decades. We kept trading with the Federation because it was convenient, not because we needed to. Your sanctions will hurt you more than us." "That is impossible. Human technology is primitive. Your industrial capacity is limited. You cannot survive without Federation support." Lucy's smile grew wider. "Want to bet?" The transmission ended. Around her, the defense station hummed with activity. Humans preparing for war looked very different from humans playing nice. Their movements were sharper, more focused. Their equipment was deadlier. Their attitudes had shifted from cooperation to predatory alertness. "Ma'am," her tactical officer reported, "we're detecting movement in the Federation fleet. Looks like they're preparing for an attack." "Good," Lucy replied. "I was getting bored." Across human space, the Federation's economic warfare was having unexpected results. Instead of forcing compliance, it was revealing just how little humans actually depended on their former allies. Human factories that had been producing goods for Federation markets quickly retooled to serve human colonies. Mining operations that had been selling to alien corporations began supplying human industrial worlds instead. Research stations that had been sharing discoveries with Federation scientists focused their efforts on human advancement. More importantly, non-human colonies began approaching human worlds with trade offers. On the mining world of Kepler, 442C, Colony Administrator Maria Rodriguez received a delegation from the neighboring Vorthak settlement. Administrator Rodriguez, the crystal being, said, its form reflecting rainbow patterns of distress. "We require assistance. Since a human withdrawal, pirates have attacked our convoy 7 times. Federation forces cannot protect us." Maria leaned back in her chair. "That sounds like a Federation problem. Please, we offer exclusive mining rights to our rare earth deposits, favorable trade agreements, whatever you require. What we require is an apology for 200 years of treating humans like expendable servants." The Vorthak delegate's crystalline structure flickered. That is not how we saw the relationship." "No, that's exactly how you saw it. The question is, what are you offering to change that relationship?" Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Worlds that had ignored human colony for centuries were suddenly desperate for human protection, human trade, human cooperation. The Federation's economic sanctions were backfiring spectacularly. Meanwhile, human privateers were making the Federation's shipping problems much worse. Operating under letters of marque issued by human governments, they began systematically capturing Federation merchant vessels. Captain Alex Rivera commanded one such vessel, the Night Hunter. His ship looked like a standard human transport to Federation sensors. It was actually a heavily armed raider designed for exactly this kind of work. Target acquired, his sensor operator announced. Federation trade convoy, 3 freighters with 2 escort destroyers. Alex studied the tactical display. Under Federation rules of engagement, attacking such a convoy would require a major fleet action with massive casualties. Human raiders had different rules. Begin approach. Stealth configuration. The Night Hunter vanished from Federation sensors, using technology that humans had kept secret for decades. By the time the Federation escorts detected the attack, it was already over. The freighters were captured intact. The escort crews were rescued and treated well. But each captured ship sent the same message back to Federation command. Human raiders could strike anywhere, anytime, against any target they chose. Tell your commanders, Alex informed each captured crew, that Deathworlders are done being nice. We play by our own rules now. The message was spreading throughout Federation space. Humans were no longer the compliant junior partners who followed orders and accepted casualties. They had become something far more dangerous, predators who had stopped hiding their true nature. On New Terra, President Williams received daily reports of Federation confusion and panic. Their military commanders couldn't understand how human ships had become so powerful. Their economists couldn't explain how human worlds were thriving without Federation trade. Their politicians couldn't grasp why other species were defecting to human protection. Ma'am, her military advisor reported, Federation Command is mobilizing a major task force. Intelligence suggests they're planning a demonstration of force against one of our outer colonies. Kate nodded grimly. Which target? Likely Haven's Rest. It's isolated, lightly defended according to their intelligence, and taking it would send a strong message about the price of defying Federation authority. What they don't know? Haven's Rest has been fortified with our actual defensive capabilities. If they attack there, it won't be a demonstration of Federation power. It'll be a demonstration of what happens when you pick a fight with humans who aren't holding back. Kate stood and walked to her office window, looking out at the city below. New Terra had been humanity's first colony world, built with Federation approval and Federation oversight. Every building, every system, every defensive installation had been designed to meet Federation standards. Now those limitations were gone. Hidden weapon systems were coming online. Concealed factories were producing military equipment. Secret research facilities were developing technologies that would revolutionize warfare. The Federation thought they were dealing with primitive deathworlders who had gotten too big for their britches. They were actually facing apex predators who had spent 2 centuries pretending to be harmless pets. Send a message to Captain Baker, Kate ordered. Tell her that the Federation wants a demonstration. We'll give them one they'll never forget. Across the galaxy, humans were revealing their true capabilities. Not the limited, controlled abilities they had shown while playing nice, but the full spectrum of human ingenuity, determination, and ruthlessness. Federation observers watched in growing horror as human colonies transformed from compliant settlements into fortress worlds. Human ships evolved from adequate transports into deadly warships. Human technology advanced from primitive tools into devastating weapons. The Deathworlders had stopped pretending to be civilized. They were showing the galaxy what they really were, the most dangerous species ever to reach for the stars. And they were just getting started. Fleet Commander Keflar studied the tactical display, showing the human colony of Haven's Rest. According to Federation intelligence, the settlement had minimal defenses and a small population of farmers and miners. It would be the perfect target for a demonstration of Federation power. Status report. He ordered his bridge crew aboard the Federation flagship Dominant Will. All ships report ready, Commander, his tactical officer replied. 47 vessels, including 12 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts. The humans have 6 ships defending the colony. Keflar nodded with satisfaction. The odds were overwhelming. This would be a quick, decisive victory that would remind the galaxy why the Federation had ruled for centuries. Open a channel to the human defenders. Captain Alex Rivera's face appeared on the screen. The human looked calm, almost bored. Federation vessels, Alex said before Keflar could speak. You are approaching human territory without authorization. Turn back now or face the consequences. Kevlar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Human, you are outnumbered 8-1. Surrender now and your people will be treated fairly. Alex smiled. It was not a nice smile. Commander, you're not outnumbered 8-1. You're outnumbered. What are you talking about? We have 47 ships. Yes, Alex replied. And we have humans. The transmission ended. Kevlar stared at the blank screen, confused by the humans' response. Around Haven's Rest, he could see only 6 human ships, small vessels that looked like converted cargo haulers. The planet's surface showed no sign of military installations. Begin the attack, he ordered. All ships, standard formation. This should be over quickly. The Federation fleet advanced in their traditional battle formation, ships arranged in neat geometric patterns that maximize firepower while maintaining defensive cohesion. It was a formation that had won 1,000 battles across the galaxy. It lasted exactly 4 minutes against human defenders. The first surprise came when the 6 human ships suddenly became 18. Stealth systems that Federation sensors couldn't detect had hidden a dozen additional vessels. The second surprise was when those ships opened fire. Human weapons had always seemed crude to Federation observers. Simple kinetic projectiles and basic energy beams that barely qualified as military-grade equipment. The Federation had assumed human technology was centuries behind their own. They were wrong. The projectiles that hammered into Federation ships weren't simple bullets. They were smart rounds that adjusted their trajectories mid-flight, seeking out weak points in enemy armor. The energy beams weren't basic lasers. They were coherent plasma streams that could slice through Federation shields like they weren't there. Within minutes, 8 Federation ships were debris. Commander Kevlar watched his tactical display with growing horror. How are they doing this? Our ships are supposed to be invulnerable to their primitive weapons. His communications officer looked up from his station, scales pale with fear. Sir, we're receiving damage reports from across the fleet. Human weapons are penetrating our shields and armor with ease. Our computer models show this should be impossible. The third surprise came when the planet's surface opened up. What Federation intelligence had identified as farmland and mining facilities were revealed to be camouflaged weapon installations. Massive rail guns emerged from hidden bunkers. Missile silos opened in the sides of mountains. Energy cannons rose from concealed positions. The bombardment that followed was unlike anything in Federation military history. Human ground-based weapons didn't just target Federation ships. They specifically targeted critical systems with surgical precision. Engine cores were destroyed without touching life support. Weapon arrays were eliminated while leaving communication systems intact. Bridge towers were severed while keeping crew quarters safe. It was warfare designed not just to win, but to minimize enemy casualties while maximizing enemy helplessness. Sir, Kevlar's tactical officer shouted over the alarms. We've lost 23 ships. The humans they're disabling our vessels instead of destroying them. Kevlar realized the horrible truth. The humans weren't trying to kill Federation crews. They were demonstrating their complete superiority by choosing not to slaughter their enemies. It was the most terrifying thing he had ever experienced. Captain Sarah Phillips led the boarding party that captured the Federation dreadnought Eternal Victory. Her team moved through the ship's corridors like they had built the vessel themselves, knowing exactly where to go and how to neutralize defenses. The Federation crew had expected savage Deathworlders to tear through their ship with brutal violence. Instead, they encountered professionals who efficiently and systematically took control of every critical system without harming a single alien. Attention Federation personnel, Sarah announced over the ship's communication system. Your vessel is now under human control. Remain at your posts and follow instructions. Anyone who cooperates will be treated with respect and return to Federation space unharmed. It took her team exactly 18 minutes to secure a ship that should have taken hours to capture. In the flagship's command center, Commander Kevlar found himself face to face with Captain Rivera, who had somehow boarded the Dominant without triggering a single security alert. Commander, Alex said politely, your fleet is defeated. 31 ships disabled, 14 destroyed, 2 escaped. Would you like to surrender formally, or should we continue this demonstration? Keflar looked around his bridge. Half his systems were offline. His weapons were disabled. His shields had collapsed. Through the viewport, he could see Federation ships drifting helplessly, while human vessels moved between them like shepherds managing a flock. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Your ships, your weapons. Our intelligence said you were barely capable of space travel." Alex sat down in the commander's chair and smiled. "Your intelligence was wrong. We didn't evolve to barely capable of anything. We evolved to be the most dangerous predators on one of the most hostile planets in the galaxy. For 200 years, we've been pretending to be something we're not. What are you? We're humans, Commander, and we just stopped playing nice." The Battle of Haven's Rest lasted 47 minutes, from first shot to final surrender. The Federation task force had been completely annihilated as an effective fighting force. More importantly, it had been done with a casualty ratio that shocked the galaxy. Federation losses: 31 ships disabled, 14 destroyed, over 3,000 personnel captured. Human losses: minor damage to 2 vessels, 0 fatalities. The news spread through Federation space like wildfire. The species they had dismissed as primitive deathworlders had just demonstrated military capabilities that made Federation forces look like children playing with toys. On New Terra, President Williams received the battle report with grim satisfaction. "Send a message to the Federation Council," she ordered. "Tell them that was a demonstration of human restraint. If they want to see human capabilities without restraint, they're welcome to try again." Across the galaxy, non-human worlds began reconsidering their loyalties. If humans could defeat a Federation fleet that easily while showing such mercy to defeated enemies, what could they do when they weren't holding back? The answer was something the galaxy had never seen before: apex predators who chose to be protectors instead of conquerors. But first, they had to finish teaching the Federation what happened when you pushed Deathworlders too far. Ambassador Claire Robinson walked into the Federation Council chamber with the confidence of someone who held all the winning cards. Around her, the assembled representatives of 12 species watched nervously as a human took her place at the center of the speaking platform. For 200 years, humans had sat in the back corner of this chamber, grateful for whatever scraps of respect the Federation chose to offer. Today was different. "Honored delegates," Claire began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "I come before you not as a supplicant, but as a representative of a free and independent humanity." Speaker Zeldar's scales rippled with agitation. "Ambassador Robinson, humanity remains bound by the Federation Charter. You cannot simply declare independence." Claire smiled. "Speaker Zeldar, after the Battle of Haven's Rest, I think we can declare whatever we want. The question is whether the Federation chooses to accept reality or continue living in fantasy." Uncomfortable murmurs filled the chamber. The Battle of Haven's Rest had sent shockwaves through Federation space. Their most powerful fleet had been defeated by humans so thoroughly that it bordered on embarrassment. "What does humanity want?" asked the Nexary delegate, her ethereal form flickering with anxiety. Claire activated a holographic display, showing a map of the galaxy. Large sections were highlighted in blue. These systems have requested to leave Federation protection and join the human Commonwealth. They include 47 non-human colonies, 18 independent trading stations, and 12 mining collectives. The numbers were staggering. Nearly a quarter of Federation territory was defecting to human protection. "This is outrageous." Counselor Elthek stood up, his blue scales darkening with anger. "These worlds belong to the Federation. You cannot simply steal our territory." "We're not stealing anything," Claire replied calmly. "We're accepting applications from worlds that prefer human protection to Federation neglect." The Vorthak representative, her crystalline structure chiming with distress, asked, "Why are they choosing human protection? What are you offering that we cannot provide?" Claire looked directly at the alien. "Safety, prosperity, respect, everything the Federation promised, but never delivered." She activated another display, this one showing economic data. In the 3 months since humanity stopped playing by Federation rules, worlds under human protection have seen a 60% decrease in pirate attacks, a 40% increase in trade volume, and a 90% improvement in emergency response times. The statistics were undeniable. Human-protected space was becoming the most secure and prosperous region of the galaxy. How? Whispered the delegate from Kepler 186b. How are you achieving these results? By using our actual capabilities instead of the limited ones the Federation required us to display, Claire answered. For 2 centuries, you told us we were primitive, barely civilized, lucky to be included in your Federation. We believed you wanted partners, so we pretended to be weak enough that you wouldn't feel threatened. She paused, letting that sink in. We were wrong. You didn't want partners. You wanted servants. So we stopped pretending to be something we're not. On the human world of New Harmony, former Federation mining overseer Talven watched human engineers install new processing equipment. The machines were unlike anything he had seen before, capable of extracting resources with efficiency that made Federation technology look ancient. Supervisor Martinez, he asked the human in charge, where did this equipment come from? It's not in any Federation technology database. Maria Martinez smiled. That's because we designed it ourselves. We've been improving Federation technology for decades, but we had to pretend our improvements were alien innovations to avoid making you uncomfortable. Talven stared at the machines. You mean humans designed the quantum extractors, the fusion processors, the automated transport systems? About 70% of what you call Federation technology was actually developed by human researchers. We just let alien companies take the credit. The revelation was spreading across the galaxy. Technology that alien species acclaimed as their own achievements was actually human innovation. Scientific breakthroughs credited to alien researchers had come from human laboratories. Military tactics that Federation generals had used to win battles had been developed by human strategists. The Federation hadn't been uplifting humanity to galactic standards. Humanity had been carrying the Federation for centuries. Dr. Helen Carter stood before a gathering of the galaxy's leading scientists on the Neutral Research Station at Proxima 7. Representatives from dozens of species had come to hear her presentation on advanced human research capabilities. For the past 200 years, she began, human scientists have been operating under Federation oversight that limited our research to approved topics using approved methods. Those restrictions have been lifted. She activated a holographic display showing a quantum computer design that made Federation systems look like ancient calculators. This is what human computing technology looks like when we're not required to make it compatible with inferior Federation standards. The alien scientists stared in stunned silence. This processor operates at quantum efficiency levels we thought were theoretically impossible. One of them whispered, for you, perhaps. Humans achieved this level of quantum manipulation 50 years ago. We just weren't allowed to publish our research because it would have disrupted Federation economic interests. She showed the medical scanners that could heal injuries the Federation considered fatal. Energy systems that could power entire worlds with clean, unlimited power. Transportation technology that could move ships across the galaxy in hours instead of weeks. How long have you had these capabilities? Asked a Nexri researcher. Decades. We've been sharing watered-down versions with the Federation while keeping the real advances secret. You told us repeatedly that our ideas were too dangerous, too advanced, too disruptive, so we stopped sharing them. Captain Jake Morrison, now Admiral of the Human Commonwealth Fleet, stood on the bridge of the New Dawn as it patrolled the border of human space. Around him, his crew monitored communications from across the galaxy. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving messages from Federation worlds requesting protection. The outer colonies of Centauri Belt. Even some core worlds are asking about joining the Commonwealth. Jake nodded. The Federation was collapsing from within as member worlds realized they had more to gain from human protection than from Federation membership. Any response from Federation Command? They're trying to organize another military response, but they've lost too many ships and too much support. Intelligence suggests several Federation species are considering separate peace treaties with us. Jake looked out at the stars. For 2 centuries, humans had fought Federation wars, built Federation technology, and supported Federation expansion while being treated as second-class citizens. Now, the galaxy was learning what happened when the species they had underestimated stopped pretending to be harmless. Set course for the Kepler system, Jake ordered, "Let's go welcome our newest Commonwealth members." The transformation was complete. Human space had evolved from a collection of subordinate colonies into the galaxy's dominant political and economic force. The Commonwealth offered protection, prosperity, and respect to any world that wanted to join, regardless of species or history. The Federation still existed, but it was a shadow of its former power, reduced to a handful of core worlds, and the species too proud to admit they had been wrong about humanity. On New Terra, President Williams stood in her office, looking out at a city that had been transformed. Buildings that had been constructed to Federation standards were being rebuilt with human engineering. Defensive systems that had been limited by Federation oversight were being upgraded with true human military technology. "Madam President," her advisor said, "we've received formal surrender document from the Federation Council. They're accepting our terms for complete human autonomy and reparations for 2 centuries of discriminatory treatment." Kate nodded. "And the offer to maintain peaceful relations?" "They've accepted that as well. Apparently, they realize that having humans as enemies is considerably worse than having humans as independent neighbors." Kate smiled. The Deathworlders had stopped playing nice, and the galaxy was a better place for it. In the end, humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy through aggression. They had liberated it by finally showing their true capabilities. The species that others had dismissed as primitive Deathworlders had revealed themselves to be the galaxy's most capable protectors. The Commonwealth continued to grow as more worlds chose human leadership over Federation control. Pirates learned to avoid Commonwealth space. Trade flourished under human protection. Scientific advancement accelerated as human researchers shared their previously hidden discoveries. The day Deathworlders stopped playing nice had become the day the galaxy finally achieved the peace and prosperity the Federation had always promised but never delivered. And humanity, no longer pretending to be something they weren't, had found their true place among the stars. Not as servants or subjects, but as the guardians of galactic civilization.